Hello, from a slap on the Oscars stage to the Indian women bowing out of the Cricket World Cup, from PV Sindhu winning the Swiss Open and petrol and diesel prices going through the roof. It's been a fortnight that's had a very frenetic pace, I tell you.
You're absolutely right, Rishi. It's been action-packed. But I love what Denzel Washington said to Will Smith when this happened. He said, "At your highest moment, be careful. That's when the devil gets to you." Right? And this guy really should be a CEO.
Denzel Washington is a CEO. Well said, Ramesh.
Yeah.
Small wonder then that Denzel Washington is actually one of my all-time favorite actors. So I believe today we have a guest who has seen many ups and downs and held his own, Ramesh.
Brilliant. You're absolutely right. He participated in the first Bitcoin boom of 2017. And then when the RBI notification mandating banks to stop working with crypto companies happened in 2018, he went and added new features like India's first multi-signature wallet infrastructure. Please welcome Avinash Shekhar, CEO of ZebPay. Hi, Avinash. Nice to meet you. Hope all well.
Yeah, thanks, Ramesh. Thanks for inviting me. Excited to be here.
You know, Avinash, treat us like school children or our audience like school children. Crypto is such a new thing, and there's so much of a fascination around it that I thought we'd just start with FAQs. What is cryptocurrency?
So actually, if you have to describe in a simple way, you see as it is at a contrast to the existing systems we have. So we have existing systems which are totally centralized system, whereas one individual or one company holds everything, they control everything, be it, let's say, bank or social media. And if you imagine that whether the same thing can be done in a decentralized manner, in a more transparent manner, where the users participate, users are the owners, they decide the rules. Okay, they decide what is permitted, not permitted. So that is what crypto is. Currency, you can say, I mean, currency is like traditionally the word currency is used, but what we call it is a decentralized system. For example, Bitcoin or Ethereum. What it enables you is that you can actually transfer value in a decentralized manner without a need for a trusted third party. So you don't need to trust banks, or you don't need to trust a centralized system which can quickly become like a monopoly. Okay, or it can quickly become a single point of failure. Okay, so that's, I think, if I have to tell you in brief, that's what it is.
How does one pick the right exchange to invest with?
So obviously, the most important thing is that the exchange should be trustworthy. Okay. In India, obviously, ZebPay is one of the oldest exchange. So trust, obviously, ease of use, how you can quickly deposit and withdraw both your INR and crypto. Okay. Another thing which obviously is not in favor of exchanges, so to say, is that we have a concept in crypto industry called not your keys, not your coins. So A, pick up the exchange. B, I think this technology is something which enables investors and customers to take their own custody, to be master of their own destiny. They don't need to really trust the exchange. Once they have, let's say, bought Bitcoin, they can actually withdraw to their own private wallet, and after that they don't need to trust exchanges.
So I understand that ZebPay, you use the word exchange, but other than that, you have a plethora of activities.
Yeah.
So the brass tacks, what is ZebPay? What are you involved in?
Yeah. So I mean, frankly, we have a very simple business. One is obviously exchange, where you can buy and sell crypto. So if you want to buy Bitcoin or sell Bitcoin, you can use our platform. Another thing, for example, is that we enable customers to earn passive income on their crypto which they hold. So you can, I mean, again, interest is we are borrowing actually all these nomenclature from the traditional financial systems. So you can earn interest on your, if you hold crypto on ZebPay. Okay, you can, for example, we have introduced a new concept called quick trade, where if you are not comfortable using, let's say, open order book exchange, and many people don't understand, new investor, what open order book exchange is, you can just buy and sell like in 3 clicks on our platform. And obviously we keep on innovating. For example, security is something which is like very, very important for us. We are operating from 2014-15, and Ramesh mentioned about multi-signature wallet. Okay, so we have that internally to secure funds, customers' fund. So yeah, I think these are some of the key features.
I think you had your say on what ZebPay is. Is there anything else that you think we should know about ZebPay and why it's amongst the best in the business?
We are in a financial business. Trust becomes very, very important. And I think through highs and lows, we have been able to keep that trust, customer trust. That's, I think, the one of the key thing why people trust us, basically, or regard as one of the best.
Ramesh was just giving you an inch so that you could park a car and show off about some of your remarkable features, some of the other stuff that you're doing.
Well, he's a very humble CEO.
Yeah, he's a humble man. I'm just already very peeved with people who come to me with a lot of paperwork. So, my logical question always, when I see new instruments, especially like what you guys are doing, is what are the documents required? How do I get started with ZebPay? Getting the theory down pat is one thing, but documents required to get started for the self-regulation to happen.
Yeah. So again, I think we have a very, very simple process in terms of KYC. You go to our app or website, and you have to basically upload your ID proof, address proof, and that's it. I mean, those documents are verified, and most of the time the KYCs are verified within minutes, so to say. And post that, you have to do a bank verification. So, and bank verification, again, typically in an automatic way, it happens in few minutes, where you give us your bank account details and we verify it at our end. This is something called penny drop, basically, where we try to send a very, very small amount to that bank account and see that the details which you have given matches with the details which bank is giving to us. And typically, if that matches, that means good to go. This entire process, like, at best, it takes 5-10 minutes. At worst, maybe few hours. If, let's say, there is some discrepancy or there is something it doesn't match, because obviously, that names sometimes is Avinash Shekhar, Avinash Shekhar. So sometimes it becomes slightly tricky, but so that it requires some manual checking. But mostly, like, happens within minutes, basically.
Just curious to know who's the target audience, who's a suitable consumer for this, and we hear that digitally native people are likely the more interested investors in this asset class. But what is your target?
Initially, it was digitally native young people who are investing, but I think that is changing. That is changing from last 2-3 years. People who are older, women are actually participating a lot in crypto nowadays. That ratio is steadily increasing over a period of time. So I'll say traditionally it was like digitally native young people, but now that is expanding very, very rapidly, and metro, non-metro, rural areas, all, I think, want to participate in crypto industry, basically.
You want to give us some comfortable tips, things to keep in mind while investing in crypto?
The only thing to keep in mind is that invest in education. I mean, try to understand what Bitcoin is, because if you invest any significant amount without investing, you will not be able to capture the upside, and you will panic sell at the downside, because it continues to be a volatile asset class. Okay. So in fact, I always say that you need more commitment on the upside rather than downside. If you invest 1 lakh rupees and it becomes like 67,000 rupees, maybe you will panic sell. There is a probability of, let's say, 50%. Okay. And if 1 lakh becomes 2 lakh, then the probability is, I think, 90%, and you will sell and move out because you have already made 100%. And that's when you require like conviction, so to say. And that conviction comes only when you understand that this is only the beginning. I mean, we are not, I mean, when I started my journey in 2017, I thought I'm late. And frankly, I mean, listening to the discussion which happens right now, including in some of the politicians, it's like very, very early in crypto.
Brilliant. I mean, the fact is that, the volatility sort of scares all of us. So just to understand it, and for the lay listener, how is the price of crypto exactly determined? I mean, is it supply and demand, or just there are other factors as well?
So there are two things you have to look at. One is obviously supply and demand. Okay. What has happened in crypto is, especially Bitcoin, is that this is I think one of the only, I think only asset class where the retail investors have come first and institutions and corporates are coming now. Okay. They are now actually realizing that this is something which is going to change the world. Okay. So obviously demand is coming from corporate. So demand and supply is one. Second is that you have to look at it is still like a startup. Okay. And valuing startup is not easy. I mean, even the investor whose business are to invest in startups, many times they got it wrong, get this wrong. Okay. So there is some, what you can, trial and error. Okay. For example, if you talk about Bitcoin, there is a cost involved in mining, what we call it mining the Bitcoin. Okay. So logically speaking, if this business has long-term future, then the sale price has to be higher than what it costs to mine the Bitcoin. Okay. That can be one indicator which can be used. But yeah, I mean, all these three things, demand and supply, trial and error, because it's totally new. Not many people understand how to value it, and the supply is going down. I mean, every year the number of new bitcoins which are created keeps on going down, and that can't be changed. So that creates obviously a situation where the demand is increasing, the supply is going down.
But finance guys or whizzes always find patterns. And when they find patterns, they start saying that they have a strategy or a theory in place.
Yeah.
So I wanted to pick your brain on the best strategy to invest in crypto.
So there are two kinds of players in the market. One is that people who trade a lot. Okay. Those people are there in the stock market. They do obviously technical analysis, so to say, when the price is so, but that needs specialized knowledge, obviously. Okay. You need to understand what Bitcoin is. You need to understand technical charts. Okay. So I'm assuming we are not going there, obviously. If you are a retail investor, if you are an investor who's basically wants to invest a part of your savings, okay, in crypto, then the best strategy is to buy and hold, okay, and do, let's say, some kind of SIP, because so that you can capture all the prices. And as I said, more importantly, invest in education. I mean, if let's say if you have invested 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000 rupees in Bitcoin, okay, at least after that, start reading. I mean, if you spend, let's say, 10, 20, 30 hours in understanding cryptos, you slowly start understanding, and slowly you start getting the conviction. Okay, so long term, short term, there are people who have actually panic sold and lost money in crypto. But if you look at any long term perspective, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 years, people have always made money in crypto. And third is more important. I think stay with like top 5-10 points. Don't invest, as we call it, like altcoins, who are new projects. Again, it's not that they are not good. Some of them may be good. Most of them may not be good. But then again, you need a specialized knowledge. You need to really invest significantly more time in understanding their business case.
To all of us conservative salaried investors kind of thing, your last point is very valid, right? How do I decide what is a safe and legal, Bitcoin or a crypto, rather than, how do I ensure, I'm doing the right thing?
Yeah. So as far as legal is concerned, crypto is legal in India. It was never illegal. At no point of time, crypto was illegal in India. The only thing you have to see is that from your protection point of view, is I said that invest in top three: Bitcoin, Ether, maybe Matic, BAT. They're like top 5-10 coins. Only invest in those. Okay, and obviously use legitimate exchanges. I mean, most of the exchanges which are in India, which are part of the association. Okay, they follow a certain level of self-regulation. Okay, they do KYC, they do bank verification, they accept money and send money only to a registered bank account. Okay, so see that those basic things are being followed, and don't go for, because again, any new technology attracts players which are not so genuine. Okay, and obviously we have seen certain amount of frauds happening in this system, and obviously that brings a bad name to the industry. So if anyone is off saying that, okay, I'll give you a fixed return which is like 3, 4, 5%, 10% per month, then obviously there is something fishy there. Don't fall for that.
So just underline it for us, because you did make a statement at the top. You said it is volatile. There's no two ways about it.
Yeah.
In a nutshell, what makes it volatile?
So I would say in a nutshell, what makes it volatile is that there are 2-3 things actually. One or two things we have already covered. It's a startup. Okay. And startups many times are driven by sentiments. Okay. Second is, I think, lack of regulation or lack of regulatory clarity. Okay, that impacts the investors. Okay, so if you are a retail investor and suddenly there is a rumor that Indian government is going to ban crypto, or something is happening in US, okay, that creates a certain amount of, or something is not happening in US. Okay, something was supposed to happen but not happen. Now it's not happening. So that creates some kind of like either panic selling or some kind of sentiments which goes up, goes down in a short term. Another thing which is different in crypto is that it's a 24/7 market. Okay, if you go to share markets like 5 hours, 5.5 hours a day, 5 days a week. Okay, here crypto is a 24/7 market. So what happens on a Saturday and a Sunday where the volumes are very, very low, that means a small amount of money can tweak the price up or down. Okay, so again, that creates volatility into the system. So all these factors combined, I think, creates volatility, which I think overall, if you look at last 5-6 years, the volatility has gone down. It has not gone up. Okay, and I mean, now I think if you compare volatility of what is happening in last 1 or 2 months, what is happening in some of the technology stocks or oil. So I'll not say that it is like volatility of other asset class has increased recently. But overall, I think in terms of volatility, the direction is that volatility is going down and will continue to go down in future.
You've actually been saying repeatedly that, educate yourself. This is my first class on crypto. Thank you, Avinash. Tell me one more silly question that I have for you, which is really, why is Bitcoin more famous than any other crypto?
So obviously, it is the first one. Okay. Bitcoin is when all this revolution, I think I should say, started. Okay. And in terms of when we say centralization and decentralization, it's a degree. Okay. nothing can be totally decentralized, basically, so to say. So in terms of that degree, I think Bitcoin is the most decentralized network. And second is that the founder is nowhere to be found. Okay. And that guy is not relevant. I mean, obviously, he is a figure, people like admire him, but if he comes back today, he's not relevant. Okay. That he made sure that the system takes care of itself. And thus right now the system is taking care of itself, basically. So as you say that Bitcoin doesn't have a CEO, it doesn't have a marketing team, it doesn't have an email address, a phone number, but still it's growing so big. So there must be some reason.
So where should I lay my hands on some literature? Where would you like me to go and read up and research? Because you did say educate yourself.
Yeah.
So would you like to point me in a particular direction? Does ZebPay have any literature online that one can go and read?
So we actually keep on emailing blogs. We keep on creating blogs on our website. There are many blogs where we try to educate people both on the fundamental side of crypto and on the technical side of crypto. Okay, so I think there is a wealth of knowledge there on our website. Other than that, obviously online on YouTube, you can follow certain people. For example, there is a guy called Andres Antonopoulos. He is considered to be, I think, one of the best avenues if you want to start understanding what Bitcoin is. Then obviously there are books available. I think one of the favorite book is the Bitcoin Standard. Okay, so that book, I think, if it should be like a mandatory read basically, if you really want to understand history of Bitcoin, why Bitcoin, what is the need of Bitcoin in today's society. Okay, so I think these two, and plus again, like significant amount of information available. This MicroStrategy CEO Michael Saylor, he creates lots of obviously content online on crypto and Bitcoin. So I think these are the places I think you can start with.
Thank you. That's more education. You guys have made very big claims saying that ZebPay is the safest exchange in India.
Yeah.
How do you justify the statement and prove it to our listeners and viewers that it's right?
Yeah. So again, I think I covered 2-3 points. One is that you must have seen newspaper reports and that exchange keeps on getting hacked. Okay, or people lose their crypto. Okay. So I think we have a track record that from 2014-15. Actually, our earlier iftar, not many people know, started in 2012-13. Okay, there used to be a company called buysellbitcoin.in. Okay, then we restarted when we basically migrated to ZebPay. So I think we have a track record. We use, I think, partners which are like global leaders in this area. Okay, and I think which is most important and which I know that many of the exchanges or many of the businesses ignore, is that multi-signature wallet, which is, and most of the funds in cold wallets. So I'll explain you both what is cold wallet and what is multi-signature wallet. Cold wallet means is that basically what happens is that there are hot wallets and there are cold wallets. Hot wallet basically means that you create customer needs to withdraw crypto. Okay, so we need to give them the seamless experience to be able to go online and withdraw their crypto. So we keep a very, very minimum amount in those hot wallets. Okay, which is, let's say, connected to internet. So theoretically there is a possibility of that getting hacked. Okay, but again, the funds there are so small, maybe like 2-3% of our overall assets, that it is not going to kill the business basically. Okay, and we obviously keep on monitoring the level of those funds. That means large number of funds, more than 95% of the funds are in cold wallet, which is not connected to internet. So So that means it can't be hacked. It's like literally can't be hacked. This coupled with multi-signature wallet, which basically means that wallets which are cold wallet are protected with multi-signature. That means no single person can withdraw the funds. There has to be, let's say, 2, 3, or 4 of a number of people who has to sign that particular transaction. So even if theoretically speaking, someone is kidnapped, okay, that and at gunpoint, he does or she doesn't have the ability to actually spend that money or transfer those funds, which is, I think, very, very important in this age. So I think these are some of the points which enable us to be confident that we are one of the, I think, safest place as far as the crypto safety is concerned.
So our discussion has been centered around Bitcoins. You explained Bitcoins. If you could just delve into some of the other tokens and their use cases.
Yeah. So I think the two of the biggest is Bitcoin. Obviously, we talked about Bitcoin. Okay. Bitcoin is more of a store of value, so to say, and is the first, is the biggest. Okay. The second system is Ethereum. Okay. So Ethereum is, you can, if I have to use a layman word, it's like a computer of computers. It's like online version of supercomputer where you have the base infrastructure level. Okay. And then you can build applications on top of it. Okay. Again, a decentralized system where you can build up applications. So it's like an ecosystem where you can build different use cases. You can build a decentralized, for example, social media platform. Okay. Or a decentralized system of, let's say, land records. Okay. On top of which we call it layer 2 solutions on top of Ethereum's. And then there are others. For example, there are coins which are, there is a coin called Binance coin. Okay. Again, there is a utility of that coin. That coin is used to pay fees to Binance, and then they create some kind of incentive mechanism which creates value. Basically, in a way, exchange is trying to share its income with the users. If you have this coin, whatever fees I get, I will burn a part of the fees. And burning fees basically means that the overall supply of those coins goes down. That's why the value of those coins goes up. So they will, in a way, like it becomes like a cycle where people trade more, so more BNB fees is generated, more fees is generated, then more coins are burned, and so the value of the coin goes up. So they are basically in a way of sharing wealth or fees with the customers. So that's why, I mean, there are many new projects which many different utilities. Decentralized storage space, for example, there is a coin where you can store your space on in a decentralized, get a space on in a decentralized manner, and the coin support that ecosystem.
So most of us have already invested in mutual funds, insurance policies. They're also aggressively advertising, saying, make sure you're insured, make sure your mutual fund sahi hai, and all of that stuff. And of course, traditional fixed deposits, land, buildings, whatever else that they invest in. And you create a portfolio, right? Why should we really invest in crypto now? And what, if so, then what do you think should be the percentage of portfolio allocated to cryptos? Or in the future, what is it going to be?
Yeah. I think the second question first. I think I said, because it's a new technology, you will need some time to know about it. So you start with like 1 or 2% of your investable fund, certainly not more than 5 to 10%. Once you are more confident, once you really believe into it, then only you should like go beyond that percentage, basically. Okay. The first question, why Bitcoin? So I think we are building something, at least I believe, we are building something which is going to really change the world. It is going to be bigger, much bigger than internet. Okay. Because what we have today is we have all the systems which are centralized system. We have centralized media, we have centralized banks, we have centralized social media, we have centralized TV networks or basically, for example, Netflix. Okay. Now, can this be done in a decentralized manner? The answer is yes. If this is done in a decentralized manner, will it create more value? The answer is yes. And why the answer is yes is because crypto is a decentralized open source. Okay, open source basically means is and permissionless. So and these two things are very important. Open source and permissionless means basically you can actually go and copy Bitcoin or Ethereum source code, build on top of it, innovate on top of it. Okay, you don't need anyone's permission to do that. This itself will create is creating so much innovation, because you can't go to a bank or you can't go to like a social media giant saying give me your source code and I will build on it. Obviously but if that is available to everyone to critique it, to audit it, to improve it, then the speed at which the innovation will happen is going to increase significantly. Okay. And this is also going to benefit the actual user. Okay. If I am a social media user and I am participating in the wealth creation which is happening, okay, that itself creates lots of value. So I think why Bitcoin is because A, it is decentralized, B, it is open source, permissionless network, which will give power to the people. I think it's the most transparent and democratized system. It is going to give power to the users, which will enable them to innovate at a significantly faster pace.
Okay, this next bit is going to be about the announcements in the union budget. We are all following it very closely and carefully. How do you view India's decision to tax VDAs, which is virtual digital assets? Do you think this is going to be a bit of a setback in terms of utilization of cryptocurrency?
Yeah. So the 2 points. One is that it was always taxable. It was not that it was not taxable. It was taxable like any other income you want at a different slab rates, basically. And people were paying tax on that. What the government has done is that it has introduced a maximum slab rate of 30%. B, they have said that no set-off will be possible. And they've clarified that set-off will not be possible. Even let's say, if you have a gain in Bitcoin and loss in Ethereum, even that set-off will not be possible. And C, I think the most negative part is that they've introduced a TDS of 1% on the transaction. So overall, I think giving some sense of legitimacy, it may be like it's a right step, but I think the rates and the way they have the government in trying to tax is I'll say not fair, basically, because what they're trying to do, I think my main problem is that they are trying to tax crypto like a sin tax, basically. It's like it's something which is undesirable, which is, I think, not fair. I mean, I think is a revolutionary technology. And what is going to happen because of this is that people, not only investor is one part, actually. If you are investing in, let's say, Bitcoin, Ethereum, making money, it's fair for government to charge tax on that. The government is trying to send a message that it is something which is not a good thing, which is crypto, which is not correct. Okay, and what will happen is, and what's already happening is that it is creating an environment where people are or will move out, and not the investor. Investor is one part. People who need to innovate. Okay, who need entrepreneurs, engineers. Okay, if they think that this is something which the government doesn't like, okay, they will go and innovate outside India. They will innovate for companies which are not in, I mean, foreign companies. Okay, So that means that the wealth creation, the next Google, Facebook, Apple, will not come in from India. Then it will be created outside India. And that is, I think, is the biggest issue with this budget, apart from the financial, because 1% TDI is obviously, if there is a trader who, trader trades 10 times a day, buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell. If someone has put 1 lakh rupees of capital and he trades, let's say, 10 lakh rupees per day. So in a day, he will lose 10,000 rupees as TDS, which over a period of 10 days to 15 days, entire capital will be wiped out. And so obviously we are talking to the government, we are trying to explain them that this is not fair. So for me, budget is like a mixed bag, more on a negative side rather than a positive side.
The finance minister actually openly said that crypto is not a currency, right? How do you react to that? And has it really affected anybody? Has the customer acquisition sort of slowed down or anything of that sort?
It has not slowed down as yet. But I mean, it depends when this TDS, and we have to see when this 30% starts from 1st of April and TDS starts from 1st of July. So we'll wait and see. And second is, no one is saying it's a currency actually. Okay. I mean, a chair is not a currency. That doesn't mean it doesn't have value or it can't be traded. So
also, but there is a fact or a rumor, depending on how you view it, floating around that Indian banks are not warming up to crypto transactions. Is there an element of truth to that?
Yeah, there is an element of truth actually, that many of the banks, they're not warming up to, and this is to the crypto industry, and this is in spite of the fact that there is a clear-cut Supreme Court ruling saying that the RBI notification is not valid. And in fact, RBI themselves, they issued another clarification saying that the Supreme Court, there is a Supreme Court ruling and their notification is not valid. So even then, I think we see some reluctance from many of the banks in dealing with crypto.
So let's talk about the government's move to set up its own digital rupee.
Yeah.
Right, it's likely to be launched by the RBI. What are you hoping it'll do for investors? Is it going to be competition? Is it going to expand the market? Is it going to give it more legitimacy? What do you think?
So I think central bank digital currency, the rupee is already digital. I mean, the UPI transaction which you do is a digital transaction. Okay. So when we talk about central bank digital currency, we are talking about just a slight improvement or some improvement over the additional rupee. Okay. It is unlikely or it's impossible to have the characteristic with the crypto which we talk about Bitcoin has. Will it be decentralized? The answer is no. Will it be open source? The answer is no. Will it be permissionless? The answer is no. I mean, they can't do it. They will not do it. Okay. So so there will be always some improvement. There will be some benefit with the customers will get. I mean, obviously UPI is a great product. Okay. But I think when we talk about CBDCs, they're two different products. Bitcoin and CBDCs is two different things altogether. They're not same.
As a media guy, Avinash, I keep a very keen eye on the ASCI, which is basically all the guidelines that come out at strategic intervals of time of the Advertisement Standards Council of India. Now, they have laid very strict guidelines for promoting VDAs, which is virtual digital assets, whether it's print, television, digital, social media. I'd like to know what you think of that.
Obviously, these are, I mean, the guidelines are stricter than what we would like. Okay. And again, we'll talk, but I think it's a process. I mean, at least now they have come up with some guidelines at least. Okay. It's a process, and over a period of time, we think that things will change. As of now, obviously, we'll be following whatever those guidelines are. Again, I think crypto will face, that is true, that it will face some roadblocks now and in future. And if you see any technology, new technology, I mean, start of internet was not everyone welcomed internet. Same thing will happen and is happening to crypto, which I think we have to live with.
So which markets are you going to focus on? You mentioned growth is in metros, non-metros, geographically, or state-wise, or in terms of class of customers or kinds of customers. Which are the markets you're focusing on?
So all the market, because the thing is, it's because it is like a exchange, which is there is no physical space. So geography is actually not what you call it, limiting factor, so to say. So when we target all of everyone. Okay. But what we are seeing, as I said, that more and more customers, earlier the more and more customers used to come from metros. Now it's like coming from mini metros or rural areas. Okay. So our focus actually is going to be in future is that, for example, create regional language content. Okay. So that we are able to reach more and more, educate more and more people in languages which are other than Hindi and English, so to say. Okay, so that is one, I think, area we'll be working on.
In March of 2020, when the industry won its case in the Honorable Supreme Court overturning the RBI notification, how much time did it take you to start accepting rupee deposits, restart crypto, INR trading in India? Basically, Mike, the bottom line to my question is, how long did it take you to get your house back in order, Avinash?
So actually, we started within 2 days. Okay. I think 4th March.
You preempted the decision. You thought it's going to happen in your favor.
we let's say we had a very good case, and we were ready. I mean, we were ready that if Supreme Court allows, then we should be able to start ASA immediately. So we restarted within 2 days. Obviously, it does not suit. Okay. Suddenly we had like 5,000, 10,000 deposits, which are there in the bank, and we're not able to give credit to the customers. So that took few days to bring the house to order, so to say. But I think we started within 2 days, started accepting the INR.
With that, we dive into the lifestyle section. We'd like to know who's a business leader that you admire, and what are those qualities in him that really stand out and you hope to emulate?
Yeah. So actually, there are two actually. So I started my career, I think in 2001 actually, and I joined this company, Airtel, called Airtel. Obviously everyone knows Airtel, and so I joined their long distance business, which was like a new business. Like we were the first private payer to start STD services in India. And then we were the first private payer to start ISD services in India. So I was part of that team. I was like literally first employee in that company. Okay. And our CEO's name was N. Arjun. And he is like a hardcore execution person. He's like, the management tells him that this needs to be done, it's done basically. So what I admire about is that, few qualities. One is that, as I said, execution. He's like totally 100% execution focused. Things needs to happen. Something needs to happen in 3 months. He'll get it done in maybe 2.5 months, 2 months. Okay, which basically means that he was very tough. He was very, very demanding. We used to work really, really hard. He was very frugal. Total startup culture. He was very, very frugal in terms of spending money. But at the same time, outwardly he was very tough, but internally he was like a very, very nice and soft person. So literally anyone can. At that point of time, he used to have open office. Anyone can walk in. He used to be the first person in the office and the last person to go. Now obviously the culture is that you have to have work-life balance, and that point of time, more than 22 years back, that culture was not so prevalent, so to say. Okay, so, and he knew everything. He knew every aspect of the business. He was not a techie, but he used to understand everything. We used to, whether it's finance, business, tech. So I learned a lot from him. I think I spent 3.5 years in that business. And I always say that for me, it was like maybe 7 years, 10 years of experience I got during that 3.5 years, basically. The second person is my current boss, Rahul Pagdipati. So again, a very big contrast. I mean, he is like very, very soft. He's something he's someone who trusts people, who give lots of independence to people. Okay. So he is very, very good in like resolving conflicts, so to say. So very different person, but I think very, again, different learnings, so to say.
I look at your career and I see that you moved from a CFO's role to a CEO's role.
Yeah.
What were the immediate challenges? Why we wanted to talk about that is because might be some great learnings for anybody who's watching or listening.
Yeah. So what happened in March 2000? So always, I mean, when I was CFO also, and I said that my first job in Airtel, I was always a person who was in the middle of the business team and the finance team. I used to do financial planning and analysis kind of role in my earlier years. Okay, so I always had a good amount of interest in how the business is happening. Okay, this particular opportunity, I mean, then in March 2020, the Supreme Court decision came, and we were not actually operating for 18 months or so. So obviously, because of that, there is a leadership vacuum. Okay, and we launched within 2 days, and then I realized that many of the things on the business side which should be working is not working, so to say. Okay, so I started taking interest. I started taking interest in operations, customer operations, basically. Okay, and obviously there were lots of issues to be solved. Started doing that, and then slowly I mean, it didn't happen on day one. I mean, it's not that. Slowly I start engaging all the departments, so to say. Customer service, I saw there is a problem in tech, so solving the problem on the tech side, what is the problem they are facing, on finance side, on trade side, customer support. So I think it became a process. The more I went into it, the more I realized that this is something which I can do, and that took lead to next step and next step and next steps. So I think that's how it happened.
Fabulous. Going back to lifestyle, what kind of music do you listen to? What's on your playlist, and any concerts you attended or anything that you enjoy?
So I mean, I'm not attending. I mean, I'm a slightly introvert, boring person. I mean, not attending concerts and all that. But yeah, obviously, I like old Hindi songs, basically. So I mean, that's what I listen whenever
Kishore,
I have.
Lata, SD Burman, RD Burman, huh?
Yeah.
Hemant Kumar, wonderful.
Mohammad Rafi.
A book that you've read that has left an impression on you, made a mark.
There are many books, obviously, not a single book.
Other than Bitcoin Standard.
Yeah, so that is obviously one, the Bitcoin Standard.
Yeah.
There is a book called The Sovereign Individual by James Dale Davidson. Okay, I read that book couple of years back. Okay, and I didn't notice when this book was first published. Okay, and much later I realized that this book was published in 1990s. Okay, but when I was reading that book, it looks like current book. It maybe I thought it was written like 2-3 years back, and much later, because what is really happening currently in the world, I mean, many things that book has predicted so well, including the rise of digital currency. I mean, I was reading one para and I thought he's describing Bitcoin. That's why I was surprised that how can he describe Bitcoin? This book was written in 95. Okay, so other than that, I think there's a book called The Law by Frederick Bastiat. This book was written in 1850, sorry. And I'll read one like small line in this from this book. It says, life, liberty, and property do not exist because men have made laws. On the contrary, it was the fact that life, liberty, and property existed beforehand that caused men to make laws in the first place. So it's a very small book, but I think it's again it's an eye-opening book because I think the size of the government. I mean, we totally everything we talk about that. Okay, the government will do it, kind of. And I think this book talk about that. At the base, it's an individual liberty which give rise to the government, and not the other way around.
A sport that you follow, IPL season now, and your favorite player in the sport.
So again, I mean, I don't watch cricket so much. I mean, used to watch cricket, obviously, when Kapil Dev and Azharuddin used to play. But yeah, I try to follow a little bit of football, basically. So, and I think that's one sport which I think is very, very great. And but somehow India is like we are more cricket fan rather than football fan.
So do you follow English Premier League? Do you follow the La Liga? What do you follow?
Both
football?
actually. Yeah, everything. And in fact, I had a chance to online meet Sunil Chetri some time back.
What a wonderful man!
Yeah, it's a great guy. Basically.
Lovely. Final one is your favorite vacation spot and why you love going there?
So, I mean, there are two kinds of travel, obviously. One is that when I go with my family, okay, so, I mean, there everywhere is like, I think, but still in India, for example, Uttarakhand is one place. Manali, basically, is another place. Internationally, I think Dubai I've been too many times. But my passion is, I mean, till before pandemic, I used to go for trekking every year for 1 week. Okay, so I think 2008 onwards to 2019, almost every year I go for trekking. Last trek which I did was Chadar trek. So again, like great experience. I mean, you really, I think, understand what life is when you go for trekking. There is no phone for 4 or 5 days. You really just focus on basic necessity of life.
Avinash, I really love that you've taken crypto beyond Indian shores. I was reading Malta, Australia, Singapore, and you're such a passionate, firm belief in its present and future.
I personally love that when your founders exited, you sort of quickly moved from CFO to COO to CEO. Great stuff. And thank you for my first class on crypto. Thanks for being on the show.
Thanks, Ramesh. Thanks, Rishikesh. Really appreciate inviting me here. It was really great talk.
With that, it's time to wrap another episode of season 2, but not before I remind you to come back to hear and learn from another major business leader next week.
And yes, we not only ask them or her pure business questions and understand their journeys, we also learn from them and have tons of fun. Thanks for tuning, guys, and make sure you keep listening to some great radio and podcast. Build that habit.
Minding My Business, the CEO story, shall be back with another captain of the industry who's been a pathbreaker. Remember, you can catch us on 94.3 Radio 1 on FM radio, on HT Smartcast in podcast form over all major streaming platforms. This is a Radio 1 production. So till next week, it's bye from me, Hrishi K.
And me, Ramesh Menon. See you soon.
94.3 Radio 1.